Welcome to the virtual guided learning library from InsideOut Literary Arts. InsideOut immerses students in the joy and power of poetry through classroom residencies, after-school workshops, performances, publications, and community programming led by our team of professional writers and artists. We are so happy to have you join us today and look forward to the words, ideas, and stories you will share.
Hello there. It's good to see you. Though truth be told, I can't really see you, but I can imagine that you're there on the other side of this camera, and hopefully you're here and eager to write a poem with me today. My name is Peter Markus, and I'm the Senior Writer with InsideOut Literary Arts. And hopefully you can see me okay and hear me okay, if technology is working the way that I'm hoping it might be working okay. But there's two other reasons why you might also be able to see and hear me okay. Number one is the fact that you all have eyes to see me with, and you all have ears to hear me with. But there's one other reason why you can see and hear me. I'm a noun. Everything that we see and hear in the world is a noun. Even though I can't see you right now, you too are a noun. Remember that, because nouns are incredibly important to writers. In fact, most poems that are written are really written about nouns, about things, about trees or birds. Among 20 snowy mountains, the only moving thing was the eye of a blackbird. That's the opening stanza from one of my favorite poems, 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird by Wallace Stevens. Our words become the house we live in. That's another favorite line of mine from a poet who wrote that line a long time ago, over 700 years ago. His name was Hafiz. Our words become the house we live in. A house. Our words. All nouns. Right? Nouns are important for us to compare one thing to another thing. Last night, the moon in the sky, I wish you could have seen it. It was huge. It was shining. It looked like a gigantic eyeball. It looked like a silver dollar. Right? These are all of these things that we're comparing are nouns. The moon and a silver dollar. The moon and a gigantic eyeball. So just remember that nouns are really what we're going to be spending our time with today, and any time together moving forward, really making our poems out of nouns. Nouns are a kind of a landscape. Sometimes the hardest thing for writers when they're starting to write a poem is, what should I write about? And I always just say, well, just look around the world, right? Look at right here in this room with you. Got a baseball here. A baseball is a noun. So maybe I can write a poem about playing catch with my son or my father. Poems can be about just about anything, right? You just have to sort of look around and find the poem, right? And oftentimes the subjects of our poems are right in front of our face, and we just don't realize it. But sometimes just they're right here, right in front of our face. Can you see my hands? You know why you can see my hands? You know why you can hear my hands? Because my hands, like your hands, are nouns. And I thought it would be fun today to spend a little bit of time talking about our hands and writing about our hands. Because when you stop to think about it, our hands do a lot of things. They just are things that just sort of, I don't know, I can just reach out and grab things like that baseball, right, that I threw up in the air right now. And now I'm holding the baseball in my hand. A minute ago, what did I do with my hands? I rubbed my hands together, which is something that I sometimes like to do. It helps me think. I clapped my hands together. I snap my hands. When I'm getting ready to write a poem, I reach and grab hold of something to write with. A pencil, a pen, a magic marker, and then something to write in, a notebook. So right now, why don't we pause for 30 seconds or so, and I'm going to let you go get something to write with if you don't already have something to write with, and something to write on if you don't have something to write on. So why don't you actually, with your finger, which belongs to your hand, reach up and put this little conversation that we're having on hold, okay? And then you'll come back once you have something to write with and something to write on. So I'll see you in a few seconds. It's good to see you again. I'm glad that you're back, even though, of course, I can't really see you, but I can imagine that I'm seeing you. Anything that you can imagine in the world, that too is a noun. So remember that. It's just not the things right there in front of you, but something you can close your eyes and you can picture a mountain among 20 snowy mountains. The only moving thing was the eye of the blackbird. Remember that. What I want us to think about right now are what are some things that you do with your hands. I've already talked a little bit about a few things. We clap with our hands, we snap with our hands when we're in class and we have an answer to our teacher's question. We might raise our hand up. Through this camera, I can sort of reach here and high five you right now for being such good listeners. I have this baseball here. I can throw a baseball. I used to be quite a good pitcher back in my day. Right? If this baseball was a little bit bigger, right here, and here I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. I'm now holding in my hands something that I'm now bouncing on the ground in front of me. Or maybe the word is dribbling. What am I holding in my hands? Yeah, an imaginary basketball. And now I'm dribbling again. And now my hands, I'm shooting that imaginary basketball through the hoop. Did you hear it go swish? Yeah, good. Maybe you've shot a basketball through a hoop recently and listened to that ball go swish. So, we do a lot of things with our hands. What I want you to do right now is to think about 5 things that you do with your hands. Okay? 5 actions, 5 verbs that your hands like to do. All right? One of the things I like to do is I like to write. So, on my list of 5 verbs, I've already talked about a couple of them. My hands clap. I like to throw baseballs with my hand. Ooh. Recently, I was baking a cake. Sometimes I like to draw with my hands, even though I'm not very good at it, but I still like to do it. And then, of course, as a writer, I like to write. So I want you to pause this video again and pick up your pencil and a piece of paper to write on, and I want you to come up with 5 verbs, 5 words, things that you do with your hands. All right, I'll give you 5 minutes to do that and check back in. But right now, why don't you hit that little pause button again on this video, and I'll see you soon. It's good to see you again. You've got those 5 verbs. I wish that we were in the same room together so that we could hear each other go around and share some of these actions that you like to do with your hands. But for now, I'm just going to have you write about those actions that you like to do with your hand. All right. So you've got those 5 verbs. Now, here's my first sentence, and it's a short one. The hand that claps. All right. It's not a great sentence. Right? It could be made better, but it's talking about a simple action of our hands. So what I'd like you to do is to take your first verb and put it into a sentence where the verb comes right at the end. So you've got the hand followed by the word that, which sets up the action, the hand that claps. Once you've got that sentence written on the piece of paper, what we're going to talk about now is stretching our sentences out. We stretch out our sentences with details. And when we add details to our sentences, we make them more interesting. We give the reader a little bit more information to know exactly why we're clapping our hands. So I might say, well, the hands that clap when I'm happy, when I'm excited. So that stretches that sentence out a little bit. The hand that claps. It's kind of a short sentence. The hand that claps when I'm happy or excited. So it's stretched out a little bit more. But now I want you to see this third sentence. The hand that claps when my favorite soccer team scores a goal. So now we know why we're clapping, why we're feeling so happy or excited. The detail being that our favorite soccer team just scored a winning goal. Watch how this sentence is stretched out to the point where my hands are actually going to disappear. So remember, the hand that claps. The hand that claps when I'm happy or excited. The hand that claps when my favorite soccer team scores a winning goal. I wish you could see my hands right now. Actually, this is what my fingers are doing. They're wiggling with happiness, right? Because they like that sentence. They think that that sentence is a good, detailed sentence. The hand that claps. My fingers are not wiggling. The hand that claps when I'm happy. Not so much. the hand that claps when my favorite soccer team scores a winning goal. And here, my hands, if you could see them, are sort of fluttering like the wings of a butterfly. They're so happy. So, for your 5 verbs, I want you to come up with 5 sentences that talk about these very specific actions that you like to do with your hands. Okay? So, I want you to reach up to your Chromebook or your computer and push pause and spend maybe 5 minutes trying to write those 5 sentences and stretch them out as far as you can with details. And by doing so, we're writing a small little poem about something right there in front of us, right? The poem is right there in front of us. It's us talking about our hands. It's us even celebrating all the things that we do, maybe even every day, or sometimes only once in a while with our hands. And by writing this poem, I think we are writing a poem that sort of says thank you to our hands for allowing us to do all of these amazing and yet ordinary things. Okay? So, I look forward to possibly maybe having you share some of these hand poems with me at some point. And remember, we hold the whole world in our hands, so to speak. I think there used to be a song about that. And there are certainly a lot of poems in our hands, my hands, your hands, waiting to be written. Have a great poem writing day. Until next time.
Thanks for watching this video.
Through a curriculum rich in literary arts, social emotional learning, and self-expression, InsideOut inspires students to think broadly, create bravely, and share their voices with the wider world. For more information, visit InsideOut Literary Arts on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or at InsideOutDetroit.org.